And we're going to go right into questions. We'll start with Chris Stock from InsideTheU. Chris, go ahead.
Coach, you spoke all offseason about having that good balance between running and passing. I guess 3 games in, it's pretty close on the numbers. Are you pleased with that? And then the overall play count through 3 games, the average plays per game, is it where you would like it to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall the balance and the ability to be able to run the ball effectively and throw the ball effectively, that's what we want to be able to do. It's not always going to be 50-50, but I think it's been good. Game 1, we had to run it a lot. Game 2, throw it. Game 3 was a little of both. And every game's going to have its own personality. You got to be able to take what the defense gives you. But so far, I think we're getting better in that aspect every week. Play count, yeah, I think it's been good. I think the last game officially was about 85. We ran about 91 or 92 unofficial snaps. That's what we want to try to do. The Louisville game, we had a couple one-play drives, and that probably hurt our play count in that game. But I think our guys understand what we want to do and why we want to do it and the advantages to doing it. And obviously, in order to get your play count up, you got to execute at a high level. So we're still continuing to work on that, but I think we're making progress.
Coach, we're going to go to Gary Furman at Canesport. Gary, go ahead.
Hey, Rhett, how you doing? So, Clemson has has the best quarterback in the country and an explosive offense, and they put up a lot of points. They've pretty much blown out almost every ACC opponent that they've played in for many, many years. As the offensive coordinator that's going against that, with obviously a little bit more of a loaded gun potentially than a lot of teams have when they go against Clemson, how does that impact the way you game plan? And, do you have to try to strategize, obviously, in different ways when you're playing a team like this?
It's a great question. I think, Clemson's been the standard for the last several years. I mean, they've earned everything they've been given. The respect that they have, they've earned it. I mean, 24 straight ACC games. I think they've given up more than 28 points in a game 3 times in over 3 years. Dating back to the 2017 season. That's just incredible consistency on defense. Obviously, I remember recruiting Trevor Lawrence in high school. I mean, he's a phenomenal player as everybody else on their team. So we have a ton of respect for Clemson. They're number 1, and they've been the champ in our league for a while for a reason, and they've earned that opportunity. At the same time, I think this is why you come to the University of Miami, is to be able to play and coach in games like this. It's a great opportunity. And I think if we were to prepare different for this game than we would anyone else, and that would just prove that we're not always giving our best. I mean, while this is a phenomenal opponent and by far the biggest challenge that, we've had since I've been here and that many people have, you got to prepare the same way every week. And they have our utmost attention and respect. We know they've been the champs for a reason, and we're going to give it our best and see where we stand. But we're not going to do anything different than we normally do.
Coach, we're going to go to Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. Pat, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Yeah. Hey, Rhett. Thanks for taking the time with us here. Just kind of wondering what you've seen from Rick's personality that makes him successful and kind of how you've meshed your offense with his gifts.
You say De'Aric's personality?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the great thing about De'Aric, obviously, being a guy who's played a lot of college football, he's a mature kid. He's got that experience. So that was a big advantage for us. He's just a very consistent young man. I mean, he's the same kid every day. He comes to work every day. He's a very loose, confident person, but he's always focused and locked in on what we're doing. He knows when to kind of cut up with the guys, but when to get serious. And so he's just the same guy every day. I think that helps me as a coach. It helps our offense kind of have an identity and confidence in him because they know every day they're going to get his best. And, he's human. He may not have his best day, but they're getting his best, and he's focused and he's locked in. And I think that is slowly but surely, hopefully becoming a personality of our offense. And, because he's our leader, he's the guy that everyone on offense looks to. And I think his consistency's really been big for us. In terms of his skill set, I mean, I think we're always trying to put him in a position to do what he does best. Fortunately for us, he can throw it and run it. And so, 3 games in, I think we have a pretty good handle now. You're learning, once you get into actual game situations, just how he ticks. And he's so even keel. He's so consistent on game day. And, I think we've got a pretty good idea of putting him in position to where he can just go play and react and let him use his abilities. And I think the worst thing you could do to a player like him is overload him mentally. And he's capable of doing a lot mentally, but let's let him go react and play football.
Thank you.
Coach, we've got Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. A couple of things. One, Will Mallory, I wanted to ask you about him. He's I think been targeted 2 or 3 times, and obviously you feel really good about him. But getting him more involved in the offense, how you guys can go about doing that, and if you haven't done enough to get him involved, I want to get your opinion on that. And then the second question just has to do with, hand signals and stuff like that. I know Clemson in the past has been accused of stealing them. How careful you have to be when you're relaying plays from the sideline and so forth.
Yeah, I think Will's one of our best players. He's been banged up the last 2 games. He's fought through it. He didn't play but about a little over a quarter in the Florida State game, or you'd have probably seen him make more catches. Obviously, he had a big one called back against Louisville. So I think we're targeting Will. I think he's involved, and I think he feels a big part of it. Whether or not we got some good playmakers, and we've honestly just tried to run the offense, through those guys, but it doesn't always go to them. And so, we don't kind of go into a game going, man, this guy has to have this many touches. We got to run the system because the defense may double a guy or take a guy away. And we need to be a good team offense and be able to take what's there. But Will's a big part of that. And hopefully you'll see his numbers continue to rise. In terms of hand signals, look, that happens everywhere in college football. And Clemson is known well for doing it, but so are a lot of other people. It's just part of the game. And I think we got to be aware of it, but at the same time, we got to go play. And like I said, there's nothing against the rules of stealing signals. If you can, just like in baseball, if you can catch onto a signal, no guy's stealing second, you might as well throw him out, So we just got to go play.
Thanks. Coach, we've got time for 2 more for you. We're going to go to David Lake at 24/7 Sports. David, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, wanted to ask you about, the trajectory of the wide receiver group for, week to week. Do you feel like things are trending in a good way there? And how important is that group, particularly this week, having to win some one-on-one matchups on the outside? And then also, too, if you could just go into, some of the cornerstones of what you think a Brent Venables defense is about.
Yeah, I think our receivers have gotten better each week. We've got a long way to go. We got to continue to improve. I think the older guys are starting to really understand what we have to do in our system. I think getting a guy like Jeremiah Payton back, I think having more opportunities for these young guys in a bye week. Now we're 3 weeks into the season. They get a little more action. We played more guys against Florida State. I think we'll continue to do that to keep guys fresh and obviously let some of those young guys get in there. I remember you saw Michael Redding have a big 3rd down catch and a touchdown catch. So I think those guys will continue to hopefully inject some life into that room. And we just got to keep getting better because you're right. Against a team like this, you're going to have to make contested plays. As far as Brent goes, known Brent for a while. I think, there's no question he's the best defense coordinator in college football over the last 5 years just because of their consistency. Like I said, you look at 2017, 18, 19, and so far this year, 3 teams have scored over 28 points. That's incredibly hard to do. And, you just look every week, it seems like someone's scoring 3 or 10. They score 17. You're like, wow, they must have had a really good day on offense. And so I think it's his multiplicity. He plays a bunch of different fronts, a bunch of different coverages. He's got some guys who really now, this many years into his system, understand what they're trying to do. They create a lot of turnovers. They create a lot of negative plays and tackles for loss. And, he kind of almost calls the game like an offensive guy. He's very aggressive. He's wanting to try to dictate to you. And in most cases, he does. And so we got to do our best to, just hang in there for 4 quarters and try to do our job, dictating the tempo a little bit. And, not be on our heels the whole game. I think you see a lot of people be on their heels, and credit to them. It's because they're really aggressive and really good at what they do.
Coach, this is the last one for you. We have Susan Miller Degnan from the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead for Coach Lashlee.
Hey, Coach Lashlee.
Hey, Susan.
This will be, a relatively, I guess, a tough road atmosphere. I've covered games in that stadium. It's really loud. I think they only allow 20,000 fans now, but is there anything you can even do to prepare for that? Or is it 20,000 just a lot easier than normal?
20,000 is less than whatever it holds, but I would think 20,000 plus crowd noise, it'll be loud and there'll be a good energy in the stadium just for this kind of game. We just got to calm down and play. I don't think we had some issues at Louisville, but I don't think crowd noise had anything to do with it. I think it was just more of us discipline. At the end of the day, the way we run our system and what we do lends itself to crowd noise shouldn't be that big of a problem. But yeah, it makes you be more focused. We have an indoor here, which helps. You can practice inside with crowd noise and, try to get the guys to get used to having to focus and communicate without being able to hear a whole lot. And so we're definitely doing that. And Coach Diaz has a good plan for us to be able to do that. And I think that's just really all you can do. But, a lot of times kids know this, and coaches and people that have played sports, once you get into the game and you're in the arena, you don't really hear all that stuff that much. If you're coaching or playing, and you're actually in the game, you kind of develop that tunnel vision, and every now and then there may be a moment, but we got to be able to block the noise out just like everybody else does on the road in college football and just go do our job.
Thank you.